Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 778 of the Juicebox Podcast. On today's show, I'll be speaking with Robyn. She's the mother of two children. One of them has type 1 diabetes, but much of our conversation is going to follow the story of Robyn's rheumatoid arthritis. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear... Ooh, I'm sick, by the way. Sorry. Did you hear my voice? It's crazy. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. We'll have to see if my voice makes it through these ads. Before I record the ads, let me remind you that if you're a U.S. citizen who has type 1 diabetes or is the caregiver of someone with type 1, you can make a big difference by going to t1dexchange.org/juicebox, joining the registry, and filling out the survey completely until the end. The survey, you got to complete the survey. That's all you got to do. It's pretty easy. It takes fewer than 10 minutes. It's completely HIPAA compliant. It's anonymous. You'd be helping yourself, other people with type 1 diabetes, and you'd be helping the podcast. As a matter of fact, there'll be a special episode coming up very soon. I'll be speaking with Dave, who has type 1 diabetes and runs the T1D Exchange, and he's going to go over why it's so important to join the registry and take the survey. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is brought to you by InPen from Medtronic Diabetes. Please go to inpentoday.com to learn more and get started today. The Juicebox Podcast is also sponsored today by... Ooh, boy, there goes my voice. I think I got this RSV that's going around. You know what I mean? Terrible. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is also sponsored today by ONEsmart. ONEsmart is where Arden gets her Dexcom and Omnipod supplies, and you could get your diabetes supplies from there too. Go to ONEsmart.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. I just cut out a huge coughing fit, so there's no way I make it through the ads in the middle of the show.
My name is Robyn. I am the mother of two girls. Imogen is 7 and Ailey is 4, and she's my type 1.
Sorry, Robyn. So your voice broke while you're telling me.
I know, I cracked, and then I had to cough. Wait, let me get a sip of tea, and then I'll try again.
Take your sip of tea. We're going to keep going, though. We're not stopping. I'm just saying that this happened during you telling me that your two children have two names I've only heard 4 times in the whole world. So
I know. I told you they're identifiable.
That's fine. I just didn't think we would need to go over it one more time if we wanted people to know. What all right, one kid is named.
So my oldest is Imogen, and we call her Immy.
And how old is she?
She's 7.
Okay. And second oldest?
My youngest is Ailey, and she's 4.
Okay. 7 and 4. Does one of them have type 1?
The 4-year-old does.
4-year-old does. Ailey does. Well, poor Imogen. Yeah. That's the last time she gets talked about.
I know. She has nothing going on in her life. Poor kid.
Poor boring kid named Imogen.
Right?
Where do you get the name from?
So my background is Scottish and Irish, and my husband is Scottish and Japanese. So both the kids have like a Scottish, Irish, Gaelic first name and a Japanese middle name.
Oh, cool. That's lovely.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about you for a second. Do you have
Sure.
do you have type 1 diabetes?
I do not have type 1 diabetes.
Okay. Do you have any other autoimmune issues?
I do have other autoimmune issues. I have.
No, sorry.
I know. Want me to spoil it?
I want to talk about it immediately. Yes.
Sure. Okay. So I have rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay. Now, here are my basic questions that I believe are everyone's basic questions.
Sure.
Why do we all mispronounce that word?
Because it's got so many weird letters in there.
Okay. So say it.
Not that I should talk. So Ailey spelled EILIDH. So I shouldn't be able to say rheumatoid arthritis.
And that
it's like
is
a tongue twister.
That is the correct pronunciation, right? Rheumatoid.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So rheum, like room.
Mm-hmm.
Toid, like Altoid.
Yeah.
And what do most people say? Rheumatory?
I just stumble over it.
Yeah. I always say it incorrectly. Anytime.
How do you say it?
I think I say rheumatory.
Rheumatory?
I think I grew up around people who were adults who did not care if the words they were saying were particularly correct, and they would just stick with them.
Okay.
So I for instance, the entire time I was being brought up in the world, I thought the woman on TV who talked to people in the afternames name was Ofra, because that's how my mom said it. And this one's not as much fun as it used to be, but Bill Cosby. Mm-hmm. Lot of stuff like that where I was.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I think people just like, or what's the other one? Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's?
I know people who call it old timers, and they're not kidding.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
High school first, kids. All right. All right. So when were you diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis?
So I started getting symptoms in June of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Fun thing in the pandemic. And kind of went back and forth with my doctor for a while. And then I saw a rheumatologist in September of 2020 and was officially diagnosed November of 2020. So like a year and a half, not that long.
Okay. How old are you when you first noticed it?
Oh, 39.
39. Okay. And you're about 40.
That was big math. 40 minus 1.
Trust me. I had no idea. Of course, I didn't know when you were born, so I was at a disadvantage. But, okay, so around 39 years old, at that point, do you turn to everyone in your extended family and go, hey, is this happening to anybody else?
I didn't. We kind of had that look out when Ailey was diagnosed. Did anyone have autoimmune, anything that way? I wonder now if my mom did. She definitely had something going on, but was never diagnosed. My brother has something. I assume it's autoimmune, but he doesn't have a diagnosis yet.
Okay.
So, but no other RA. But as soon as I had symptoms, my immediate thought was autoimmune just because of Ailey and the type 1.
So just very quickly, your mom had things going on. Like what kinds of things?
She was really sore a lot. Her ankles would always be aching. She didn't like going to doctors. She was a nurse, so she didn't ever like going to see the doctor. She was very stubborn. So I wonder if that joint issue, the joint pain she constantly had, could have been something autoimmune.
Mm-hmm. And your brother?
My brother has stomach issues. He gets clots a lot.
Blood clots?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's been hospitalized quite a few times for that, and just some of his symptoms are similar to mine.
That's scary. Blood
yeah,
clots
no,
all
it's
the
crazy.
time?
Yeah.
Does he have kids?
Yeah. He has 2 kids. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. Well, that was depressing. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
All good.
I thought, what'd you do that for, Scott? We're about to have an upbeat conversation about rheumatoid arthritis, and now now everyone's thinking about, Robyn's brother who's walking around constantly saying goodbye to everybody. He must be.
Right. I'm so thankful I have a diagnosis because I can't imagine those few months between June and November was so crazy.
Right.
And you just wonder, what could it be? Could it be this? I thought maybe it's celiac, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe, right? You go through the whole
litany.
Right. And he's had this for years and no answer. And if you don't have an answer, how do you treat it?
He's never gotten a full blood workup or anything like that.
He has had every test known to man. Now, the interesting thing about RA is my blood work is clean. My blood work does not show any antibodies for RA. And about 30% of people that are diagnosed with RA were called seronegative. So it doesn't show up in our blood at all.
Okay. 30%.
Great.
All right. Which is great. So prior to you having enough of a problem back in 2020, where you said, where you were thinking, oh my God, I brought Oprah up and now I can't speak. Where you thought, I'm going to a doctor. Prior to that, looking back, anything happening, or did it just come on like a light switch?
There was probably stuff going on. I've always had stomach issues. And it's not directly linked to RA, but I wonder if there's a link there somewhere. I used to be a competitive gymnast, way, way back in the day. So I just always assumed all my aches and pains were just because I'd beat my body up for so long. But it was really in June. It started with my legs, and I was like, oh, I'm not walking around as much. We're in isolation here. Everything's shut down. I must not be moving. My legs are getting stiff. So I tried going for a couple walks and doing everything that way, and it just wouldn't shake. I couldn't get rid of it.
So talk about that first. Stiffness, pain, soreness.
Pain, but like this weird achy sensation that I've never really been able to put into words. And it's mostly in my knees, and then it went to my ankles. But I remember my doctor recommended I take Aleve, and
doesn't touch it.
That right? It took the pain away, but not the weird sensation.
Okay.
It's like I was always aware of my legs.
You and I don't know each other. If I said to you, my bones hurt, is that an accurate depiction or no?
That's accurate now. I don't think at the beginning, because I wasn't even sure if it was my joints.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So now I'm confident it's my joints. They definitely ache more.
Stomach pain, you said too?
Yeah, just kind of stomach issues, bloating, and all of that general stuff that most people have now. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So that stuff's going on for years prior, or?
Yeah. I was diagnosed. I had a parasite like 10 years ago. And I got that taken care of, and the antibiotics I was on for that like killed my gut completely. And then I had a lot of food sensitivity issues and stuff. So I've worked through that.
How do you work through that?
I did like an elimination diet, which was awful. Lost a lot of weight. Super tiny for my wedding. That was cool. Couldn't eat any food at my wedding, but that's okay. And then I was just slowly kind of able to introduce foods back in and got back to a better place where I wasn't running to the bathroom all the time.
No, you didn't use any kind of supplements or stuff like that to help you rebalance your stomach?
No, just probiotics.
Probiotics. Oh, okay. Yeah. We'll call those supplements. Sure. Like over the counter, or like a handful of like military grade ones the doctor pointed you to?
No, over the counter, because the doctor pointed me to nothing.
Gotcha. Big help, those doctors. All right. So now we've got stomach issues, sore legs, anything else? Wrists hurt, neck always stiff.
Yeah, I've had issues with my back for years. Lower back.
Worse around your period? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily with my back. I get it in like my lower hips. They get worse when I'm on my period.
Gotcha.
For sure. That kind of started after Imogen was born.
What helps? Pressure? Anything?
Yes, sitting. Standing is awful.
What about people like, do you ever lay on the floor and have people push on you or stand on you, or is there anything weird like that that's valuable?
Yes, huge. That's what I found, like, especially with my legs at the beginning, when I'd sit on the couch with my legs up, because when they're down, they really hurt. So I put them up high, and then my kids would jump on them, and the pressure felt really good. So I get them to sit on my legs.
Do you like rubbing or squeezing or pressure that would be unholy, unnatural to other people?
Yes.
And it feels good
for sure. Sometimes it's terrible, and sometimes it's really good. And then since my legs, it's gone into my elbows and my wrists and my fingers as well.
How do you alleviate the pain in your wrists?
I have compression gloves that I wear, which are mostly for my fingers, but I find they help my wrists as well. Or I rest. I find it's weird too. Okay, so some joints crave heat. So my knees love heat. I have a heated blanket, heating pad with me all the time. And some joints crave ice. So my wrists sometimes like heat, sometimes like ice. Knees, heat, ankles, ice.
Do you have any heat or cold sensitivities overall in your body? Are you always hot, always cold?
Yes, usually cold. And my fingers now, like if I'm outside in the snow, like they get really like painful cold. If they're under a cold water tap, my finger, like it hurts. The cold water. I did have, when I was little, oh my gosh, I forgot what it's called. Raynaud's, I think, where your digits go like white, you lose circulation in toes or fingers.
You had that?
I had that in my toes, and I haven't had it since I was a kid.
Toes ever go tingly, numb?
Nope.
No. Fingers?
Nope.
Like fall asleep?
Usually.
Okay.
Nope.
Toes ever change color, like get super red?
No.
No. All right. Hold on a second. You having fun yet?
Tons.
So how do you get a diagnosis if your blood work comes back clean?
So first appointment I had with a rheumatologist was supposed to be in person, but we did a tele appointment because Ailey was homesick. And he went through this like massive list of questions, but one of them was autoimmune in the family. So I think that tripped it in his head that it could be autoimmune. So he sent me for blood work, and he sent me for an ultrasound. So I had an ultrasound done of my ankles, my knees, my elbows, my wrists, and my fingers. And based on those results, and he did an examination, and my joints are so swollen that he can feel the inflammation in them. And then my synovial fluid, which is the fluid around your joints, is inflamed in all of those joints at the ultrasound. So that's where my diagnosis came from.
From ultrasounds of your joints.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll do a CT or an MRI, but I guess the ultrasound was enough in my case.
To look for the swelling and the inflammation. Okay. Once that happens, do they medicate you with anything?
Oh, yeah. So much medication. Yep. So I am on immunosuppressant medication now because my immune system is definitely on a whack. Unfortunately, I haven't found a drug combination that works yet to reduce the inflammation and take away the pain. But let me see, I wrote them all down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm on my 6th medication now. So they, each one takes about 4 months to work. So you start this process, you start a new drug, you go through the drug company and your insurance to get it covered or not covered. And you get set up, and then you start it, and then you're in this waiting period to see if it's going to work. And then 4 months later, you're like, okay, it's not working, and then you try something else.
What was the first one?
Sulfasalazine.
Didn't work?
Didn't work, no.
Any impact at all?
So before I was diagnosed, because also with the pain is you get like brain fog, awful brain fog, and just pure exhaustion. I'd be in a virtual meeting at work, and it's like my power button got turned off, and my colleagues could see it before I felt it, and they're like, no, you're done. And I would just like literally power down, and I needed to rest. I needed to just recharge my batteries for a bit. So I think the sulfasalazine helped with that a little bit. I was able to, I guess, not stay awake. I wasn't falling asleep, but my energy level was up, but not enough to stay on it.
Do you have a thyroid thing?
So I've wondered about that. My level, what's my level? I think it's 2. So
you're good. Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Okay. Next drug.
Hydroxychloroquine.
That didn't help?
Nope.
Didn't it cure river blindness? It couldn't help you?
Wasn't it going to cure COVID at some point too?
It does everything. So,
right?
No, actually, it's an incredibly well-used drug across the globe.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And a lot of people get a lot of good success with that one and with methotrexate, which was, I think I was on them together for a while. Those are the 2 like best drugs for RA.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't work.
They didn't do it.
Methotrexate, actually, you know what? I lied. Methotrexate was definitely working, but it was an injection, which was fine, but it made me really sick. So I'd inject Friday night. Saturday and Sunday were like the worst hangover you've ever had. Monday, I'd be in the bathroom all day. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was kind of okay. And then it was shot day again Friday.
Yeah, that doesn't seem
like
you can keep that going too long.
No. So I'm like, are those 3 days worth it to be like, no, because I couldn't feed the kids. I couldn't play with them. I couldn't work. Like those days were so terrible. I was just trying not to throw up the whole time.
Right. Wow. But the 3 days, not that you would just do it anyway, but the 3 days were like normal or just better?
Better for sure.
Okay.
I didn't stay on it long enough because they all build up in your system. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I ever got to a point where it could have taken my pain away completely, but I didn't let it get to that point.
Did the doctor indicate that the illness part of it would end at some point or no?
No,
Okay.
no. So some people are okay. Some people get better with it. But usually if you don't react well to it, you're going to continue. And I was like scouring the internet. Dr. Google was my friend. I'm in a bunch of support groups too. And people were saying, okay, try Gravol. There's like a cough medicine that you can take that counteracts something in the methotrexate that makes you feel terrible. So I was taking that. You take folic acid with it. Like I was trying to do everything I could to counter the terrible feelings, but I couldn't get it to work.
What was the next drug you tried?
Luflenamide.
Anything?
Nope.
No. How about after that?
Xeljanz.
Oh, I know that one. That's an injection.
I was hopeful for Xeljanz. That was the one I was on previous to what I'm on now, and I was hopeful for a while, but no.
That's an injection, right? That one?
That one was pills.
Pills. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopeful. What made you hopeful about it, and then why did the hope go away?
I just it kind of comes in waves, the pain and exhaustion. So and definitely tied to my period too. So you'd have days where you're like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit better. Like, this is it. It's working. Oh my gosh. And then you have a week where it's like terrible. You feel awful. Your pain is there. You're in a fog. You're like, okay, no, cool. Not working. And then I don't even say anything when I go into the doctor's office. He literally just feels my joints and he's like, nope, inflammation's still there. We're moving on.
Okay. And then the last drug is the one you're on now?
Yeah. So it's called Brenzis. It's the biosimilar to Enbrel. Which is a biologic.
And everything's better?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm in that like waiting period right now. I think I just took my 9th injection, so I'm 9 weeks into it. I was like, okay, I went for a period. I didn't use my heated blanket. I hadn't put my compression gloves on. I even said out loud, oh my gosh, it might be working. I'm feeling better. And then I had the worst week. Since I've been diagnosed. So, but there's so many factors that come into it as well. My daughter doesn't have a nurse at school, so I have to go do her insulin. Normally my phenomenal father-in-law does it every day for me, but they're on vacation. So last week I was in the school twice a day, every day. Mm-hmm. And I think just being on my feet for that amount of time was enough to flare my symptoms up.
Wow. Let's talk about your period for a minute. All right, let me take a sip of tea. We'll start with US Med. I'm nervous. US Med is where Arden gets her diabetes supplies, and you could too. Go to usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. I'm doing pretty good. US Med has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They accept Medicare nationwide and over 800 private insurers. US Med carries everything from insulin pumps and diabetes testing supplies to the latest CGMs like Freestyle Libre 3 and the Dexcom G6. Okay, hold on. US Med always provides 90 days worth of supplies and fast and free shipping. Actually, the other day, I had Arden's Dexcom supplies sent directly to her dorm room. That was super easy to do. I went through the process online during a reorder, and it was like, here's your home address. Is this where you want to ship them? And I was like, no, I want you to ship them to where Arden goes to college. Super simple. I've never had that with any other company that I've worked with. US Med has helped over 1 million diabetes customers since 1996. Better service and better care. That's what they want you to have at US Med. I gotta be honest with you, there's more here I'm supposed to read, but can you just go to the link so that US Med doesn't get mad at me? Because I'm done. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. If I catch the person that gave me this, whatever this is I have, I am not feeling good. Next up on my dry throat, InPen from Medtronic Diabetes. InPen is an insulin pen that, oh boy, just buy the InPen, please. My God. InPen is an insulin pen that does more than you expect. It actually has a lot of the features and functions that you hear about with insulin pumping. For instance, InPen has a dosing calculator. It shows you active insulin remaining, glucose history. It has reports that you can share with yourself or your doctor, an activity log, dose history, meal history, and your current glucose level. You can see your current glucose level after pairing your continuous glucose monitor to the InPen app. You're going to love the InPen. InPentoday.com. Head over there now. You can see what the app looks like. You can see what the pen looks like. You can scroll around if you're ready to try. There's things you can click on to get moving. Like you just tell them, like, I have type 1 diabetes, type 2. Maybe I'm not sure what kind of diabetes I have. Submit the form. It's got a few questions on it. Next thing you know, you're on your way. InPen offers 24-hour technical support, hands-on product training, and they have great online educational resources. And get this, Medtronic Diabetes doesn't want cost to be a roadblock to you getting the therapy you need. So with the InPen Access Program, you could pay as little as $35 for the InPen. Offer is available to people with commercial insurance. Terms and conditions apply. But you should go check it out. InPentoday.com. I'm not cutting out the cough. I don't have the heart for this. I'm going to die. Buy an InPen and use US Med. Help me out, would you? Links in the show notes of the podcast player you're listening in now, and links at juiceboxpodcast.com to these and all the sponsors.
Sure.
That'll be fun.
Great topic.
Do you get what you would call a normal period, or is it abnormal?
I call it abnormal. Ever since my kids were born, it's really heavy.
Okay. Does it last abnormally long, or does the length about what you would expect?
No, length is about what I'd expect, but it comes on so heavy and so strong.
Okay. Do you ever get, like, is your iron or ferritin level dropping because of that?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think of like when. I don't know, to be honest. I'm not sure if they even test that.
Yeah, I would want you to check when you're doing your blood work next time.
Yeah, I should look and see if that's one of the things. Every 10 weeks I get my blood work done and they do a whole whack load of stuff, but I've never looked to see if that's there. Yeah. It just made me think that happened with Arden. Right,
yeah. Do the iron. Trust me, by the way, as I'm talking to you, all of my questions are coming from what I know because of Arden. So if it wasn't for Arden, this conversation would be you talking a lot and telling me things and me going, oh my God, wow, that's crazy. So, but none of this seems crazy to me.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And Arden has been through all of the blood work and everything. And no, it's not RA, blah, blah, blah. But everything you've described, down to the brain fog and the exhaustion and the cold sensitivity and everything else, this is how Arden is.
But yeah, it makes me wonder too because they all come together in the cluster, if there's RA, but maybe there's something else too.
Yeah, and you can't figure out. It's hard to pick them apart to see, because Arden has literally had every blood test known to man, from like different, like from a rheumatology standpoint and from an endocrine standpoint. Everyone has taken Arden's blood. And I mean, the last time we did it for rheumatology, which wasn't too long ago, the phlebotomist couldn't carry all the tubes in one trip.
Oh my gosh.
That she needed to take out of Arden. And the blood work came back and the doctor's like, everything looks good.
That's so frustrating. Yeah. It is, like, because I check it online, I get it done, and my results are usually online like hours later. And I always look and I'm like, how is there nothing?
Yeah, you want something to be wrong.
You do, because you want an answer. You have an answer, you can get a plan, and you can move forward. Like when I got diagnosed, I went into the rheumatologist's office, and my biggest fear that he would say, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And then my second biggest fear was that it was going to be RA.
Yeah. No, I know.
I think. Well, actually, I was afraid it was going to be like fibromyalgia, only because there's a lack of understanding of fibromyalgia everywhere. And I didn't want to always be explaining myself as to what it was and what it meant. Now I'm doing that with RA anyway. But that's my one frustration. Like the two autoimmune diseases we have because people hear arthritis and they think, oh yeah, I know arthritis. I've got it in my knee, or I've got this, or my aunt had it. And it's so similar to when people hear diabetes and they know type 2 diabetes. So I'm like, no, like it's not that. It's all of like, it's systemic. My heart's involved, right? I have a higher risk of cancer. There's so many other things involved in it. It's not just a pain in a joint. It's everywhere. And then I find I'm doing the same thing with type 1 diabetes too. I'm like, guys, come on. Can't I have like a clear, easy autoimmune that people just know when they hear it?
Yeah, right. Can I get a good one like diabetes, please? Yeah. Well, that really is part of the conversation here, is that there are other autoimmune issues that are just far more devastating than type 1, which is kind of crazy to say.
Right.
But can really be true. Okay, let me focus myself for a second. Okay. Have you ever had a day that turns into 3 days, that turns into a week, where you're like, I'm okay, and then suddenly it's back again? Or is it always a constant, at least din of pain, and then it gets worse and worse?
It's always a constant din.
Okay.
For sure.
How do you maintain any kind of lifestyle while that's happening?
It's really, really tough. And that's where I'm struggling right now. So I'm very thankful that I can work from home right now, because that has given me my life back. When I was diagnosed, I was half in the office and half at home. And just going in, walking on floors, like office floors or the floors in a mall, like they're really hard. I guess it's concrete, right? Makes sense. But the floors in my house there seems to be more padding in it. So just walking around in a building flares me up huge. So if I go into the lab and I'm working, I come home and it takes me like a week to recover. I'm just so exhausted and so whatever. Same thing if I'm going hiking or if I go to the mall or do whatever. Like I only have so much energy and I have to decide where I'm going to spend it. So it's tough. I'm in this zone right now where right now my priority is my kids. They're young. I need to take care of them. So working from home gives me the ability to still be productive and good at my job, but also I can make dinner for them. I can make sure I'm aware to catch alarms for Ailey. I can play with them. I can still be a mom. Maybe not to the same extent. I do a lot of games where I'm sitting down with my feet up. They like to play salon a lot, which is the greatest thing ever because they give me massages. But it's been a huge adjustment, and I'm trying to learn how to set boundaries and know when I can and can't do something. But it's tough. I was an athlete.
And then,
And now
you can't be. How Gaelic is your background, by the way?
Not very.
No? Okay.
No.
Irish?
Do you want to know where I live? You don't even know where I live.
I don't know where you live?
I live in Canada. Very Gaelic. No, I'm just kidding. So I don't even know where it came from. It's pretty far back to go back to Scotland and to Ireland.
Okay. All right.
Like my mom was born in Canada.
Gotcha. But her lineage comes from that way?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And my dad is British. He grew up in England.
I'm telling you. Irish, English, autoimmune, hotbed.
Right. I know. Yeah. I felt one of the hardest things when I was diagnosed, because there had been no other autoimmune in the family when Ailey was diagnosed. And then when I got diagnosed, I had that initial grieving session of like, it's my side of the family. Not that I did this, but it's my bloodline. Yeah. Which is stupid and illogical, but I had the feelings.
No, my wife feels that way too.
So.
Excuse me. Okay. So, how does this impact your relationship with your husband?
It negatively affects it, but also positively affects it, if that makes sense. He obviously has to do more. He's a great husband, great father to begin with. But there's things I just can't do. So he's learned, he can read my face. He reads me, he knows me better than I know myself. So he can step in when I really need it, but I'm terrible at asking for help. So I'll push myself because I feel like I should still be able to help cook and clean and do all of those things. So I know it's put more on him, which is hard. He's got a stressful career as well. So that is tough, but we're connected more. Like we have great conversations about our fears and what does the future hold, and we don't know what this looks like. And he's so supportive and so amazing. And he'll just see that I'm hurting and rub my feet or rub my legs, and we have a connection that way, which is stronger. So but I mean, I don't know what my future holds, right? Like, I don't know, am I going to go into remission and be okay? Or am I going to continue to get worse? Am I going to not be able to walk up the stairs in my house? Am I going to have to go on disability? Is he going to have to care for me more? And that's a terrifying thought.
What's the prevailing, I guess, thought around that when you pick around online and watch what happens? Do some people go into remission? Does it just disappear? Is it?
Yeah. Doesn't disappear, but they go, remission is the goal. If you find the right drug combination, it can work for years where you kind of get your life back. And then sometimes the drug will stop working and then you find another drug. And a lot of people have success that way. My rheumatologist actually has RA himself, and he's had phenomenal success with methotrexate. So we were kind of commiserating in our last appointment because it's getting depressing. Like, this is a lot of drugs that haven't worked, and there's only so many drugs I can try. So he was kind of being sympathetic. I'm like, oh, did you go through this too? Like, whatever. And he's like, yeah, no, second drug worked for me. I'm like, you son of a, okay, happy for him. But at the same time, I wish that had been me. So definitely there are people that do well, and then there's another set of people that don't respond well to drugs. And I don't know if you, like, the first thing that came to my head in rheumatoid arthritis is the deformed hands that people can get. So that's a fear,
like lumps and bumps at joints.
And the
like
fingers kind of go out sideways, they shift.
Does the weed help, Robyn?
I haven't gone there yet.
It seems obvious to me, Robyn. And I've never, listen, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I've never even tried it. And if I'm you, I'd be growing it in my backyard. So.
I know. I've tried creams, CBD oils and stuff. I didn't get like it wasn't like, oh, this is amazing, I need to do this forever. But I do know a ton of people get success for it. My concern is that Ailey's so young still, and if she goes low in the night and I'm so dreamy and sleepy and relaxed that I'm not hearing her alarms, that's a concern.
I hear you.
So that's holding me back right now.
May I say I wouldn't let that hold me back if I was you. I would just do it during the day. I would try, because can you imagine if you're doing all this stuff but that one thing? Because CBD, I don't know anything about anything, so I don't want anybody getting mad at me. But CBD creams and oils and CBD in your drinks, that all just seems like marketing to me. Like, I just feel like the weed industry about 3 years ago paid a bunch of influencers to say that CBD cream made their hands feel nice. I honestly feel like that's what happened, because you don't hear about it anymore. It was like there was this. I
have some friends that use it for similar things, and they swear by it.
Hippies, Robyn?
No,
I'm teasing.
No, actually, like science people.
Listen,
science people.
If it works, it works. That's amazing. But I'm talking about like really getting
Smoking
that THC in there and letting it do its thing. Like, even if it just made you like less aware of the pain, wouldn't that be better?
Sure.
I mean, not like, I don't want you like Tommy Chong. Boy, that was an old reference. I didn't even go to Snoop Dogg. I skipped right over to where, like, when they made the movies, they didn't even like retake a scene if they spoke wrong.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I'm not talking about like gone and staring. I'm just talking about like a low level of pleasantness, like Martha Stewart high, like that kind of high. You ever see her when you know she's high and she's being interviewed? You're like, that lady's a little stoned.
I really should.
You really should. I mean, I really should. I've never in my life said to somebody like, you know what you should do? You should definitely use drugs, but you definitely should.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I've always been like that. I'm that rule follower person, right? Like I Yeah.
But what if the rule was that this is what people in your situation did?
Right?
See?
It's legal up here. Like, there's no issues. So I really need to. There's like 7 weed shops in my town.
Of all the things Canada got right and all the things Canada got wrong, it's astonishing that they got weed right and have gotten so many other things incorrect. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong.
No, not wrong.
Okay. All right.
No.
I pay attention. I know what's going on in the world a little bit.
There you go.
All right. So let's leave that there, but let's just say, I mean, it seems obvious to me. Because what if it brought you some sort of like pleasure or happiness, or, what if you woke up tomorrow and you're like, oh my God, I've taken 7 drugs, and you mean like, Strawberry Dream is what I should have been smoking and it all would have been okay. Like, you know what I mean?
But what if it like relaxes me so much and then I can't do my job? And then I'm like, this is so great. I can't go back to not doing it.
So can we talk for a second? Like, for real? Like, we're friends?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's better than what you have now. Like, if you had to retire, don't you think if you said to your husband, look, I know this is crazy, but I got to be a weed smoker. And if I do, I won't be in pain anymore, but I'm going to need you to work a little more because I can't work anymore at the job I have now. You don't think he'd be like, that's fine?
He would do anything.
Yeah.
To support me, whatever it needed to be. I know, but then I feel like, I don't know. I don't like putting things onto people, and then I feel like I'm not.
Now stop it, Robyn. This got put on.
I know, I got
you.
issues, man.
Yeah. I mean, are you Catholic?
No.
No, you don't even have that pressure. Okay, and you
right?
still feel this way.
Yeah.
All right. No, Robyn, listen. I think that anything you could do to make this go. This is a big thing. This isn't like you twisted your ankle and you're a pain to people for 10 days.
I know.
You know what I mean? This is a big deal. You should cut yourself a break. Why are you trying to be so tough in this? Seriously.
I don't know.
I don't want you to cry, but what's going on? Like, you feel like if you give up, it's going to like spiral?
Maybe. Like, I like being there to support my family. I've always been able to stand on my own feet, and I've achieved a lot of good things in my life, and I'm proud of them. And the thought of not doing them anymore and not being there anymore is, I don't know, is scary.
So I'm going to now do something which is incredibly odd because I have no context for this personally, right? But I'm going to make the weed argument for you. Seth Rogen seems pretty successful, right? And he's Canadian.
True.
Isn't he Canadian?
Pretty sure.
All right. Okay. I saw
Snoop Dogg was just at the Super Bowl.
I saw Snoop Dogg singing at the Super Bowl. He looked okay. Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast in the world. He's high half the time. I think you could do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even see why it would impact your career, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, I think you have this like vision in your head of like you in a room with a lava lamp and a beanbag chair and you can't stand up. Is that what you're thinking right now?
No,
Okay.
but that would sound fabulous.
I mean, just for a couple days. But yeah, no, I just think you like. How does the Whoopi do it? That was Whoopi Goldberg. For people who don't know my shorthand for Whoopi Goldberg, I think she's a pen smoker, right? She walks around with a weed pen.
Yeah, see, I don't even know anything about
I don't
it.
either. I'm just going by what I figured out so far in the
blind
world.
leading the blind.
I know we're the worst. This is the worst Cheech and Chong movie ever.
There are so many people laughing at us right now.
Well, that's because they're high.
Maybe we're highly entertaining.
I know I am. I got a review about it recently, so let's see.
Oh, amazing.
I'm now Googling Whoopi Goldberg weed pen. Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg touts vape pen in her column about marijuana. How Whoopi Goldberg fell in love with her vape pen.
All right. I promise that I will definitely look into it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll actually go and talk to someone at one of these stores.
Well, listen, the guy you're going to talk to is not going to fill you full of confidence. but just remember this, he knows a lot about, or she, when you get there.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
True.
Like, I just think that if I was in your situation, I don't see the end of what I would try. Like, I know I wouldn't want to be on a narcotic and not be able to like function. Like that wouldn't. And have you tried narcotics for this?
No.
No. Yeah, that seems like a bridge too far for me. That would be
I don't
like
want to go there. That scares me.
Yeah. Are you all right? Does anything like hippie help? Like certain drink or food or avoiding a certain food? Is there anything in there that's valuable?
I haven't found anything. There's some people in the community that swear by certain diets that will help them. I've tried to kind of like cut back on sugar. Some sugar's never good for you. There's some like anti-inflammatory foods that I'm trying to introduce more into my diet, like avocados and whatnot, but I haven't gone full-fledged into that.
Wouldn't that be something if methotrexate didn't work, but avocados were the key?
But avocado, I know, right? Like it's kind of, I can see it definitely helping. It can help the symptoms, right? But it's not going to help the overall damage that's happening to my body. So I still need the drugs. Whatever helps my symptoms, the drugs are still going to have to be a part of my life. And I'm really hopeful that I can find one that works.
Do computer screens give you headaches?
Not really.
No? Okay.
No.
Now I'm just saying things that happened to Arden to see if there's any like similarities.
Any other correlation there?
Yeah. You ever have trouble sleeping?
I have trouble falling asleep right now because I hurt.
But once you're sleeping, you can stay asleep forever?
I could sleep. Well, I have little kids, so I feel like I could sleep forever.
So Arden...
But I don't have trouble. No, I don't wake up and can't get back to sleep.
Here's Arden's thing. If she needs to be somewhere, she'll set an alarm and she'll get up. But if she doesn't need to be somewhere, she could sleep the entire day away. Could you do that?
I would like to try that.
Okay. But she doesn't wake up feeling any better than when she went to sleep.
No, like sleep is not restorative.
Right.
Like I wake up and I'm like, I could, go back to sleep right now or have a nap or do whatever. I never feel rested.
Here's a scary question. Have you ever thought that you might get type 1 diabetes one day?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I would too. If I was you, I would just be like, every day I woke up and I'd be like, this has got to be the day something's going to happen.
Well, I wonder sometimes, right? And I'm like, oh, do I feel like this because like maybe my sugar's high or something's off that way or whatever. I did do TrialNet. I don't have any of the markers.
Good. Oh, that's good news.
None of us do.
Although,
this was before I was RA diagnosed.
Yeah, I was going to say, Robyn, in fairness, you don't have the markers for RA either.
Josh, why would you say that?
Well, because it seems obvious. We've been talking for 45 minutes. Your life's a shit show. This is definitely going to happen.
But I feel like at least with type 1, now this sounds terrible because I don't feel it for my daughter, but at least with a type 1, I know what to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like I know the insulin's going to work. It may take me a while to find the right insulin for me, but I know that there's a process. I like process. I'm a scientist. I like flow like that. So I think what's really bothering me with the RA is I can't find triggers. I can't find what makes me feel good, what makes me feel bad. There's no predictability to it. One day I wake up and I'm like yesterday, I'm like, I'm going to organize my drawers. Oh, cool. Where the hell did I get that energy from? And then today I wake up and it's like I feel like sludge.
So it's hard for you to talk to me today even?
No, I'm okay talking to you, but my knees are really sore right now. So I'll probably spend the afternoon working from my couch.
Do you find yourself rubbing them and even almost unknowingly sometimes?
Absolutely.
Do you ever sit 4 inches away from an electric space heater?
I don't have an electric space heater.
Oh, well, let's get on Amazon and get you one of those too.
Right? But I sit with my heating pad.
Blanket, weighted blankets, these things help.
Yeah. Weighted blanket, I don't like. Even sometimes like a regular blanket feels heavy on me and it hurts. So I don't like that. I found like weird things. Compression gloves I really like for my fingers, my hands. But I stopped wearing tights. You know how girls always wear tights? Mm-hmm. I found that compression on my legs too much.
You didn't like that.
So now I'm wearing looser tracky pant, kind of very stylish.
Let me just say, as a straight man, when you girls all moved to tights, it was like the best thing that ever happened. I don't know, like, I know it's wrong to say 2022 and everything, but really it's wonderful. Like girls used to wear like, when I was growing up, like boxy straight leg blue jeans and like it was, like this was a great thing.
Tights were phenomenal. I love tights, and they're so comfortable, and you can wear them with anything. Like,
I think
such a benefit for us too.
I was going to say there seems to be a ton of great reasons for you to do it, but I'm just saying, I'm a big fan. That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know, and I can't do it now.
Well,
I'm lost.
Well, Jesus.
Right? I know. I need to find a solution now just so I can get back in my tights.
In your tights, because such an easy lifestyle and fashionable, and you know what I mean.
You can dress it up. You can dress it down. I mean, you can throw them under a skirt and look super cute. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've been reading about medical marijuana and rheumatoid arthritis while you've been talking. The cannabinoid compounds THC and CBD found in marijuana have proven medical properties. Among these are pain relief. Certain strains of marijuana can target pain and bring much relief. This is actually on a page about RA. Multiple cannabinoids. Jesus, can you just say weed? Weed. No, because it's not. It's different. Well, what the hell's a cannabinoid? All right, hold on a second, Robyn. Any group of closely related compounds, which include cannabinol and the active constituents of cannabis. All right, that's unnecessary. Work to reduce inflammation. So CBD and THC, as well as CBC, CBDA, CBG, CBN, and THCA. Chronic pain. See, because a lot of your fatigue can come from the pain too, right? It just drains you.
Yeah.
You get that kind of like malaise and
like when you have the flu and you don't want to go off the couch. Like, yeah, it's really hard to just get up and you ache.
Do you have any anxiety or depression around the RA?
Not really. Like, I have feelings that, like, I don't know how it's going to go, but it doesn't debilitate me at all.
Okay. All right. A little bit more on this, then we move on. Okay. Sure. So there appears to be, again, you're right. People are laughing at us, but there appears to be different ways to take the weed. So,
weed.
Yeah, well, the whoopee, the weed. I don't know. This is just how it appears to me. Topicals, I think we don't want that. Vaporizing, I'm sure if it's like pure, it's probably okay. Again, I don't know anything about anything. I am thinking back to that one time where that the vape pens got the vitamin E in it or something like that, and it caused that like vaping lung for people. Like,
oh yeah.
Right, we don't want that. Edibles apparently are a bit of a inexact science from what I've heard. But this here says that if you ingest an edible, that the effects that you feel tend to last longer.
Oh.
There's also, they says, like drops or kind of tinctures, right, that you can put under your tongue as a way to ingest it. So if you don't want to smoke. But I don't know, like I envision a time where those girls are rubbing your legs and packing your bong for you. And mommy's feeling good. And then we get up and we do some stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because if it really does, you were talking earlier about the concern about, malformations in your body from this. Like if you can get ahead of stuff like that, I mean, I would hate to see at some point in your life, your fingers are moving in the wrong directions and you go, I should have tried smoking weed. You know what I mean? Like, cause it's such a giveaway. Like if it doesn't work, then who cares? Right. You didn't do anything wrong,
That's true.
All right.
That's a good.
Did you think you were coming on my type 1 diabetes podcast today to be talked into smoking weed?
No.
And here we are.
And here we are. Wow.
So there's some like really scary stuff about RA, huh? Bone and cartilage around the joints, ligaments, tendons, eyes, blood vessels, lungs, hearts, kidneys, digestive tract, nervous system. It impacts all of that, or can.
Everything. Yeah. And that's the only thing too with smoking is I have asthma already, and then I'd be concerned about lungs. Yeah. Because lungs are impacted with.
We're going to need gummies then or something like that.
Ooh, gummies.
All right, see? There you go. Finally something fun. Took 51 minutes for us to say something fun.
Yes.
Do you think people are listening right now and they're just like thinking, thank God I don't have this? Or do you think they're finding it? I think it's enlightening personally, but.
I hope it's enlightening. I hope if someone's out there and struggling with similar kind of symptoms and not getting an answer or getting shot down by their doctor because their blood works fine, that they can take something from it. try to push a bit harder, do more research. I don't know. I feel very lucky that I got my diagnosis as fast as I did with fine blood work.
I agree.
So
I keep wondering about for you if the parasite, when you got the parasite and they hit you so hard with the drugs, if maybe that didn't not help you so much.
Oh, I wonder if everything kind of started there. But then I obviously had, like, when my toes were going white when I was a kid, like there's obviously some autoimmune stuff going on in me already, but that could have been the trigger. I had a lot of stress leading up to this diagnosis that I wonder too if that kind of impacted it.
The weed would help with that.
Gosh.
What kind of life stress?
Work stress,
yeah,
my mom got sick.
Mm-hmm.
She passed away.
How old was your mom when she passed?
74.
Did you ever talk to her about the joint pain, or would she not talk about it?
I always tried to get her to go to a doctor because I always had sports injuries as a kid. I tried to get her to ice. She hated ice. But she was so stubborn. So I think she did talk to her doctor and stuff about it, but we never talked about it this way. And then she got cancer and passed away. So that was stressful. Then I got pregnant and lost a baby, and that was stressful.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On Christmas. So
wait, what? You lost the baby on Christmas?
Yeah, I started spotting on Christmas.
How far along were you?
The first Christmas after my mom had passed away.
Oh my gosh.
I was early. I was 8 weeks.
Okay. Oh, it's terrible.
But enough for it to be. And then I had Ailey, so huge highlight. And then she was diagnosed when she was 8 months old. Mm-hmm. So I never got down on like that baby phase with her. So I didn't sleep.
Oh yeah, you went right from baby to baby diabetes.
Yeah.
Oh, she was 8 months when she was diagnosed?
Yeah.
Was her diagnosis before or after your RA diagnosis?
Before. Because she's coming in the summer, she'll be 4 years.
I see.
Diagnosed, yeah.
Okay, so she had type 1 for a couple of years before this happened to you.
Yep.
Wow.
So I think all that, right? All that rolled together, not sleeping. We know how terrible not sleeping is. And then the pandemic hit. So then you had all the stress of trying to figure that and working from home and working from the office. My kids are at home and how do we do this? And my husband's trying to figure out how to teach kindergarten from home. So there's stress everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I think I started almost sleeping better with Ailey. Like we got to a better point with the type 1. And then my body's like, oh, you can handle more now. So bam.
She looks like she's got some free time. We should give her a
right?
Yeah.
100%.
It is how it feels.
100%.
Huh?
Yeah. Because, something's tripped it, right? So I wonder if it was the stress that did it.
It definitely could be. I mean,
not that I need a reason, but it almost feels good to be like, oh, that's what happened.
Well, I'm not wrong to say it would be nice if you could point to something about something, right? It would be relieving to be able to say anything with any certainty while you're involved in something that you can't find any certainty in.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
How far are you into this last medication? This most recent one?
I've taken 9 weeks in. So I should be at the point now where it's starting to work. So I'm still hopeful. Mm-hmm. I haven't given up on it. I just got word that my insurance company is going to cover it, which is exciting.
Wow.
Because they're expensive.
If it works, you just take it forever?
I just take it forever. Yep.
A shot a week?
Shot a week. Yep. And I... my body doesn't like it either. I get like a site reaction to it. I get it almost like a really big hive.
Okay.
To it because my immune system's not happy, but I'm okay with that. I'll take it. It's not hurting me. So I would willfully take this for the rest of my life. It means I'm going to be immunocompromised the rest of my life, which in the middle of, pandemic is not awesome.
Wasn't super exciting. Yeah. So this stuff is quelling your immune system to stop it from creating this inflammation.
Yeah, because right now my immune system is attacking my joints still.
All of those drugs were meant to do that, or some of them don't work that way?
They all work that way, just in they have different methods and ways to get there.
Okay. Oh boy. Sorry. I actually know my next question, and part of me was like, just stop the recording. Just like, I'm sorry. I am really genuinely thankful that you came on to talk about this. Seriously.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Really
and I'm like,
it.
I mean, I talk about the sad things that have happened, but like, I'm okay. Like, it's part of what goes on. Everyone has stress and stuff in their life, right? So I don't at all feel bad about talking about it or bringing it up.
Let's talk about that for another minute, though, because if you're...
Well, now I care. I'm just kidding.
No. This would be amazing if this was the moment you just turned
went too far
180 degrees and you were like, that's it. I'm not going to have a good attitude about this anymore. This guy talked me into it. Like, I just ruined your life, you know?
Totally.
But how do you do that? How do you maintain a good attitude and a forward motion when this is happening constantly?
What else am I going to do?
Well, some people would lay over and die.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've gone through hard things in our lives. My husband and I, nothing like super major. I guess all of this is major. And we keep finding a way. And I remember when Ailey was diagnosed and we were in the hospital and hadn't slept, and I was so overwhelmed with everything. And he just looked at me and he's like, we'll find a way and we'll get through this the same way we've gotten through everything else. And he's right. We've gotten through everything so far. So what's to say we're not going to get through this? It may take a while, but there's hope.
Yeah, there's actually...
I've got a lot of good things in my life, so I cling to those.
Everything isn't this thing.
It's a massive part of my life for sure, and it impacts me. I think about it every day, but like type 1 is a big part of everyone's life, and you think about it every day to varying degrees, right? Mm-hmm. But you can still do so much, and like with Ailey, like we've been open to trying all different things. We're looping and all of this stuff, so it's like, let's try and see what we can do and make the best of what we have. And it's a struggle. Oh my gosh, a huge struggle. And there's days where I don't do much of anything. My house is a disaster. And I'm trying to be okay with that kind of stuff and focus my energy on the good things. I'm still working. I'm still functioning. I'm still talking with my friends and being with my husband. And I have phenomenal family. My dad and his new wife are so supportive, and my in-laws live around the corner, and they are the greatest in-laws you could ever hope for.
It's wonderful.
So there's a lot of hope.
Look at your dad pimping. Is he in his 70s?
Yep.
Just bouncing around, picking up ladies?
Bouncing around. Not really, just one.
Just one.
Yeah, I've known her my whole life. She's been involved in our family the whole time, which is
she's been
super
waiting
funny.
her turn. Just been waiting her turn. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, she was actually my mom's close friend, so they kind of bonded over my mom.
Oh, well, that's nice.
But it's like she's been a part of my family the whole time, so it was easy. Still tricky. Still my dad getting remarried, right? But it was an easy transition. Someone that I've loved my whole life and that has loved me and supports me and my family. So
that's wonderful. I see that as a good thing.
Pimping.
Yeah.
Pimping my dad.
I have like a 78-year-old guy in my head with a big purple hat and a feather in it, walking around like pointing at ladies and like making the gun signal and winking at them.
Oh my gosh.
Is that how we got her?
Phenomenal.
It's not how we got her.
Probably not. No, not so much. Although they just went to Antarctica.
Really?
Last month. Yeah. They went on a trip.
Nice.
Now he's going to plan his next trip. Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. No, I'm really happy for him. He was so dedicated and loving to my mom and took care of her through everything. And I'm so happy to see him smile, and he is loved and someone's caring for him and looking after him, and he's living.
Yeah. Now, I think your story, and I'm not quite done with you yet. I know we're up on an hour, but I think your story feels really good to me. There's actually an episode coming out this week where Erica and I, she's the family therapist that comes on sometimes that has type 1. We start off by talking about burnout, but then we just really talk more about resilience and different ways that people sometimes are and aren't, and the way that you can't really figure out why one person has one reaction to something like this and another person has another, you know.
Yeah. I'm so lucky that I have support, right? I have family support. I've got my kids that love me, my husband who is phenomenal. And I found support in the community.
Yeah.
I found an RA community the same way I found a diabetes community, and they are so supportive. I do virtual group sessions with them. And if I'm having a bad day and I sit and talk and I'm like, oh, what about this? And I've got to ask for accommodation at work. And what if they don't, accept it and this and that? And maybe I'm not as sick as I think I am. And then there's always someone there to be like, no, you are. Like, what if it works out? So they're kind of giving me the positivity.
Yeah.
So I think doing this by yourself, anyone going through something by yourself, we need people to be with us. And it's okay to ask for help and seek that support.
I feel I'm oddly proud of the podcast right now while you're talking. I'm like, I don't know where else you can talk about stuff like this and let a lot of people hear it at the same time. It's so important to, in my mind, it's so important to remember that you're not born on day one and promised 78 years. You know what I mean? Like your dad is lucky. And there are people who pass as children and as teens. And I just think of my own life. I think of a girl I knew that I went to high school who died in a motorcycle accident with her boyfriend when we were 17. And people who I knew as children who were gone before our first reunion, which I didn't go to, but that's not the point. When I was in elementary school, this boy who I was not friends with, like, Robyn, you listen to the podcast, right?
I do.
I have no memory to speak of about some things, right? There's this boy, his name was Chuck Stasiak. There's no reason for me to remember that. I didn't hardly know him. And when we were in 5th grade, he passed out during recess. And before we got to high school, he was gone.
Whoa.
And I don't know why. Like, I don't remember anymore why. I just know that these small experiences have just taught me that we all pretend that this thing's supposed to be perfect, right? We're all supposed to come out, be about 6 feet tall, super handsome, really big penis, right? Like, bunch of money. We're supposed to bounce around with, a model who also loves us and is a great mom in our Lamborghini, going from the winter house to the summer house, skiing in between. And then we die very comfortably at 96 years old, big penis still erect. Like that's right? Big,
that's impressive.
But everybody thinks life's going to go great. And
it's true.
The truth is, life's going to go like life, which more often than not is more like the conversations that we have here.
Yep.
And I think there's something about expectation that creates the attitude that you have, or the one that I espouse, or the one that I think I've instilled in my daughter even, which is, I don't want to oversimplify it, but I think there was a song in the 70s, right? Like, no one ever promised you a rose garden. I think that's like a country song from the 70s. I don't really know. I remember it being on an 8-track tape in my dad's car, which is a lot of words most people don't understand. But you get what you get, and then you make the best of it.
Yep.
And the difference between you being a meth head right now and being the person who I'm talking to, I think, is just that. Just your expectation and your perspective and your desire not to give up and whatever else gets blended in with that. But do you have any feeling for why you're like this?
No.
Not at all, right?
No. I think the expectation thing is big, right? Like, I don't, not that I'm a pessimist, but I don't set crazy expectations. I never had the expectation that I would, be healthy my whole life. And then when my mom got sick, and there's a lot of death and stuff in our family before that, but it's like oh snap, like, you better wake up then, right? It's not a guarantee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So appreciate what you have and find the joy that you have. And I think and that's where your podcast is huge, because it's regular people talking. So it makes it normal, right? You don't have people coming on here that are like, I'm fabulous at type 1 and my child's A1C is 5 and this and that. And it's more of like, this is how we got to where we are, but you see the real life part of it. So then you have a better expectation as to how it's going to go. And I don't know. I think I did that with the diabetes too. I still have an expectation that I can get her A1C into the low 5s. Mm-hmm. But
I'm sure you can. 4. No, I bet you can.
I'm working on it. We're getting there.
Where is it now?
Last one was 6.3.
Wow, very good. Congratulations.
So thanks. I'm happy with that, but I'm trying to just always striving, right? What can I do better? But being okay with where I am, right? Like acknowledging that is a great A1C for a 4-year-old and going with it. So I think that's kind of where I am in life. You appreciate what you have and where you are. Still looking forward though, right? Like, okay, what's next? Where am I going to go and what's going to happen? And then try to get through it. I could sit here and be completely devastated and be like, I'm going to be on disability and not be able to work. But what if I'm not? What if it goes well? What if I find a way to keep this? What if I find a job that I can continue at my pace, right? Like,
and even if the end result is horrible, there's no reason not to enjoy the moments leading up to it.
Absolutely. Why would I be so down now? Because that's a possibility, because then I'm going to make it come true.
Yeah, you can't worry. I know I've said it before, but worry is a waste of imagination. You can't, because when you're worrying, in most scenarios, you are just making up things that may happen in your mind and then worrying about them.
You're worrying about it and it hasn't happened yet.
Right. And may never.
Now I'm saying this, I'm terrible at it. Like I definitely still worry, right? But I keep trying to check myself and be like, well, it hasn't happened yet. So, appreciate where you are.
Well, listen, Robyn, if everybody could make conscious decisions that then impacted them subconsciously and then everything was okay, then we wouldn't need the podcast. We would just need a short cheat sheet of things. Like you'd read like, pre-bolus, and then just never not do it ever again. You'd do it every day and that would be fine. And you'd know when your sites went bad and you'd change them without looking at them for 12 hours. And that's not how it works. You need to constantly be reminded to do what you need to do.
Can I tell you my pre-bolus horror from this morning?
I don't see why.
It wasn't a horror.
Go ahead.
So my kids are home from school today because they've been a bit under the weather.
Lazy kids. No, I'm just kidding.
I know, right? I've locked them in the basement. It's amazing. So she started, hold on. Canadian here. So I've got my chart.
I have to be honest with you, while you're looking for the chart, I didn't know you could dig a basement in Canada. Isn't it just like permafrost or something like that?
What? Oh my gosh.
All right, go ahead.
Honestly. I'm sure in some areas, but not here. So she was sitting at like 85, 90 going into breakfast. Perfect. So she wanted waffles. So if I give her like a link of a sausage before she eats cereal or waffles, then we curb that spike, which has been really good. So she eats her sausage and then she starts drifting down. I'm like, okay, whatever, she's going to eat. And then she sits there and eats like half of her waffle and kind of looks around and like dawdles. And now we've got alarms going off and she got down to, how far down did she go? 2.6. What's that? Like 45. I'm like, dude, eat your waffle. And then she eats one waffle and looks at me and she's like, I'm full. What?
Well, my knees hurt, so eat the waffle.
I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. So we spun it. It was fine. She had a yogurt drink and some grapes and she's at a great spot right now. But I was like, of course today when I'm recording that you're going to do this to me. Wow. So
I got to tell you what, did she ever get high afterwards?
No.
Then I think it's a great day. I think that's amazing. Right. I think avoiding high blood sugars is the key to this whole thing. So
she got to 150 and then dropped right down. She might go low now, but she's okay.
Okay. That's not
She's
bad.
doing all right. Loop's doing its thing. It's all good.
Cool. All right, Robyn. I really appreciate you doing this. I want to tell you something before we go. Apparently in 1969, a country singer-songwriter named Joe South wrote, I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. It was covered by a couple of male artists, but never made it big until 1971 when Lynn Anderson recorded it. It was number 3 on the Hot 100 and topped the country charts for 5 weeks.
Look at that.
And that somehow sticks in my head, and I don't know why. other than my parents did listen to country music when I was growing up, and they did have an 8-track player in the house. And when it was installed in the car, it was like we were rich. That's amazing. We had a car with an 8-track player in it. It was an amazing thing.
That's amazing. I do know of the 8-track players, but I never had one.
It was the pinnacle of technology. It was amazing. My dad looked like your dad when he was asking out that lady. You know, he was like, "Do you see what we have here? Do you see how we've ascended?"
Oh goodness. Amazing.
Anything we didn't talk about that you want to?
We didn't really talk about diabetes, but that's cool.
Well, that's because you have this really interesting thing. The kid's okay? My podcast is hugely successful and helpful in your life, something like that?
Hugely successful and helpful. Yep. Struggles. We're just struggling up in Canada. We don't have a lot of nurses for schools. So that's been a big... Oh. She's 4 and she doesn't have any... Her teachers and educators will watch her Dexcom, but that's it. They won't do insulin or anything. So that's been a huge struggle. They actually refused her entry to school at the beginning of the year for 3 weeks.
Lovely.
So that was fun. I put on my advocating hat and...
got that worked out?
She got in eventually. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been a struggle for sure, but she loves it. She's happy. I
got to tell you, Robyn, just hearing this story, hold on, this story about your RA and everything you're going through, I wouldn't fuck with you. So
yes,
I think if you're still moving, I'm a little scared of you.
Yeah, watch out. Yeah. Watch out.
No kidding.
That's right.
Oh
and God. I'm over 6 feet tall. You're talking about these expectations. You're going to be 6 feet tall. I was like, that's me.
I also did not want to be creepy, but you're a ginger. And people really do. They're scared, right? A little bit.
Okay. Super creepy.
Yeah. Internet.
I am a ginger. Watch out. And a Taurus. Super watch out.
You're an old Ford car from the 80s? A Taurus?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
From the 80s? Didn't it go longer than that?
When was the Ford? All right. This is the last stupid thing we're doing together, and then we're done. Hold on a second. Ford.
People have stopped listening.
There's no way, by the way.
They're like, oh, I'm that person. I listen right to the end. And you're like, why are you still listening? Yeah. You need help.
Ford
like,
Taurus.
That's me. You might say something entertaining.
Ford, 86 to 2019. Really? Introduced in 85 for the 86 model year. 6 generations were produced over 34 years. A brief hiatus was undertaken between 2006 and 2007. They've been making that car for that long.
That's impressive.
It's a little sad, too. Oh, God, I remember these things from when I was younger. All right, Robyn.
All good.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Well, I'm going to thank Robyn first for coming on and sharing her story. And I'd also like to thank InPen from Medtronic Diabetes and remind you to go to InPenToday.com to get started. Of course, we're also going to thank US Med, usmed.com/juicebox, or call 888-721-1514. It's easier to talk in the deep voice than it is to speak normally for some reason. I don't want to be sick anymore. I don't want to be sick anymore. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. I really do appreciate that you guys listen.